Jake, hard lines. I know this must be extremely disappointing for you, given how hard you guys have worked this season. Just maybe you start off with your thoughts on the game and where it went wrong for you guys.
Yeah. I'm hell of unhappy. I'm hell of a disappointed. I waited a long time for this press conference, which I quite understand because, anyway. I'm an older guy trying to teach the youngsters. We missed an opportunity tonight. We did all the hard yards. We were 13-0 up, 39 minutes into the game. We got a penalty away. All of a sudden, we're 13-7. It was a maul penalty, strangely enough. But there weren't any other maul penalties. And but you know what? If I'm really honest about where we are, 3 years, 2 finals. Really young team. Every guy that came on for the Glasgow Warriors is international. And we're not there yet. And I told you that. So there's no nice way. I told him in the change room. When you get an opportunity like that, when you get older, you realise that sometimes you miss an opportunity. And when I look back, 39 minutes, maul. Sure, we held that ball in. Maybe there's a penalty to us. Then it's 16-0 up. We break away. They get a penalty. They kick in the corner. It's 13-7. But I've been in rugby for a long time, and credit to them. They defended really well. Some of our big ball carriers got tackled backwards. But we'll be back. I know. I mean, it's tough, probably tougher for me because as I get older, I start to work those things out in my head. But we'll be back. I mean, I know that I've already marked we're playing Glasgow away, and I already know the date. And that's all I can say, is that there's no way I can come here and make you feel, and I'm not going to tell you anything that's going to make it feel better.
Okay, asking just because it's going to come up anyway, but there may be people that say that perhaps you guys played your final last week.
Yeah, but I told you yesterday, Brendan. They played Munster, and they beat the team that was top of the log. And it's twice in a row now where the referees let the away side win. In fact, it's 3 times, because last year Munster won in Cape Town, Glasgow won in Munster, we won in Leinster, and this referee let the away team win. So maybe next year I'll ask, when we play away, that I want him to try and ref us.
Jake, just I know it's also still very emotional, etc. But you guys really missed Willie today, especially at the back there as well. Yeah,
look, I mean, I thought Devon was outstanding. I mean, if he had just chipped and chased there, probably would have scored as well, And I'm not sure Willie would have made that line break either. But we miss Willie because when you play in these games, is what I said to you just now. Every reserve that came on for Glasgow is an international. And when you got a guy like Willie, who's been there, done it, 93 tests, 2 World Cups, you can't chuck that away. So I know it sort of looks like I'm at this press conference and I'm really, I'm sort of trying to get you guys to understand, but there's nothing I'm going to say that's going to make it any easier. We lost away to Stormers. We lost at home. I don't think it's, as I said, I don't think it's anything I can say is going to make it feel better. I myself, lost a Super Rugby final in Chiefs, lost a Rainbow Cup in Benetton, lost 2 URC finals. So I'm probably going to have a look at at what I have to do as a coach to try and get over the line. And yeah, I don't know what it is yet. I mean, I'll wake up tomorrow and I'll have a look and I'll think about it. But I also want people to understand, for what they've achieved, this young group of players in 3 years, to play in 3 finals and a quarter-final last year. I can't rush the goalie. I can't make it any quicker than what it is, you know. I mean, we got guys like Ulrich and Cameron and David Creel, and they're young. They're very young. And that Glasgow team, they've got a lot of guys who are internationals. I mean, the whole pack plays internationals, and then they play Six Nations against England, and they play Six Nations against France, and they're probably a little bit more seasoned, a little bit more aware of what's happening, and the margins are small. You know, had we stayed in that maul just before half time, we get a penalty, we kick it over 16-0 up, then I'd be sitting here telling you a different story. So, as a coach, as a guy who's been around, as a guy who understands, all I'm disappointed for them is that it's like you have a chance and you don't take it with 100%. Not because they didn't try, not because they did anything that I can point fingers at. You know, I look at a guy like Goosen and everyone says he missed touch. Well, he kicked about 20 kicks over this year that got us into where we were. And the ironic thing is, if he kicks that thing out 5 meters from the try line, then everybody tells me, geez, guys, that's incredible. So, yeah, Brendan, I want you all to understand is it's not nice, and it's not a great feeling, and it's something that we're going to have to learn. But I can promise you can take this to the bank, that we'll be back.
Hi, Jake. I'm sorry for the result. We all feel for you. Following on what you just said, do you maybe think it was maybe a big moment for your young players? If there was a lot of hype in this town this whole week.
Yeah.
You had all these legends come to talk to them.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe the moment for some of them was a bit too big?
No, I don't think so, enemy. I mean, you get Tace Lawrence and Frick Dupree and Bakkies Botha and those guys. I don't think that ever can count against you. You know, they didn't officiate them all. So, I mean, yeah. So I mean, we got to use whatever we can. There's a lot of history in this club, and we would have been the first club. And I know it sounds we would have and could have and should have, and that would have won in the South and the Northern Hemisphere, and that says a lot for a club like this. But I wouldn't have changed anything. I wouldn't have not brought them in because I was afraid that would be overkill. You know? When you have the resources of what you have with guys like Tace, and I say Mr. Lawrence and Mr. Frick Dupree and a guy like Bakkies who carried the trophy out, then you'd be crazy not to use that. But you know, so I suppose what I'm saying is I can't blame the fact that we thought using those guys would be a massive motivation, and they wouldn't have helped us in the 39th minute to give a penalty away, you know, in their 22 or just outside their 22, which they ended up converting into 7 points. So yeah, there's nothing I'm going to tell you tonight that's going to make you feel any better or make me feel any better. But the one thing I will tell you, we'll be back after 3 years, 2 finals, with a group that we started with really inexperienced. And I have to reiterate, David Creel's still a youngster, not even in the Springbok squad. He played against 2 guys this week and last week that are both internationals. Errol Foster's not international, played against 2 guys who are internationals. Cameron Hanekom played against the back row last week that was seasoned internationals. So my job is to make sure that they this time, that next year they're ready. You know, we would have been double champions in 2 years with a team that started from zero. So I can't sit here and go, oh, the world's ended. And the thing that hurts me is me. It's me because of the fact that we've had so many finals. Me, I'm talking about, not them. I just wonder if I'm missing a trick, but I'm going to have to find out what that trick is. And that again is a checklist that I'm going to have to work out, because getting to the final line and not getting over the final line. I mean, that game, the last mall, I don't know, but there were more guys on our side of the mall than there were on their side of the mall. But, you know, that's what you have to accept. That's what you have to. The margins in a tournament like this are so tight. You know, I've been lucky enough to sit in a press conference and win a World Cup. And I know, you know, was Dan Cueto, was Cueto out in that corner, or did Donnie Rousseau tackle him in that corner? So sometimes as an older guy you learn you have to take the good with the bad.
Yeah, Jake, commiserations on the result. We're all behind you. But quick question, you
Caleb?
Luke Deaga doing
Caleb?
Yeah.
I didn't say Caleb. I said
Yeah.
Kenneth. Just hold on, please.
Oh, I thought I heard Cape. Sorry, Lunga.
Thanks, Ken. Hard lines, Jake. The second half, it definitely seemed like Glasgow had almost like renewed energy. They really came out and hit you guys hard. Was that just the effect of scoring just before half time? Or do you think there was some other reason that, you know, they seem to have more energy than your guys?
Well, I think firstly they got a bit of a boost when they scored just before half time, because they would have gone in either 13-0 down or 16-0 down. And to be fair, as I said to you guys, Devin Williams chips that thing over, he scores, we're 20 points up, then the game's over. I can tell you right now, then the game's over. So they would have got a leg up there. But their bench also, you know, I can't knock any of our players. I mean, we don't have the bench. I can't put on 5 internationals when the pressure's on. And in rugby is all about momentum. You know, as I said to you, if we'd scored there with that little chip kick, and Ambrose got tackled from behind, and again legally so, but I haven't seen too many guys catch Ambrose when he's put away like that as well. So, you know, that could quite easily have been 28. I don't know what it was at that stage, but it could have quite easily been game over. And those are the margins that, you know, that determine these sort of outcomes. So a little bit of both, I suppose, Ken. They got a bit of a leg up there, and they got a bit of belief, and then they used their bench quite wisely. And I wasn't comfortable. And again, you might say why? Because I just thought if we score at the end, then we miss the kick. It's 25-all, then at least I've got a bench to play in injury time. They would have had nobody. So it was a bit of a call by me, you know, because I've been to a World Cup and I know what it's like. You go into injury time and you've got no more reserves left, you could be in trouble. So I sort of held back on the reserves based on the fact that if we get over the line and we miss the conversion, if it's 25-all, then I've got to be clever enough to know that I can use the rest of my bench.
Jake, the other thing about that 39th minute was the line-out was a very elaborate line-out. It
was probably too elaborate for the guy to make the call.
That's what I'm getting at, because, but now was that a result of, I mean, Glasgow really contested very hard in your lineouts. Was that a big factor for you guys?
No, a big factor was just before half time when they were pulling us backwards on our way to the try line. That was a big factor for me.
Jake, we talked about, last week we talked about a few things that must happen in playoff games and finals. Taking opportunities, you talked about first half, few opportunities not taken, but there was other opportunities that I asked Ron the same question. He chose to go for the line out. You won a World Cup with 5 penalties.
Yeah.
I mean, if he went to the polls, the difference was 5 points.
Because I want to help you with that. We went for the polls in the World Cup in 2007. And then when the 2019 box won by scoring 2 tries, everyone praised them for the fact that they didn't go for polls. So it's always easy in hindsight.
Of course.
And the ironic thing is we went for polls and then Ulrich dropped a kickoff. So maybe we should have gone for corner there and gone and scored. So I can't blame anybody. I can't go, should have gone for the corner, because the reality is you can never ever rewind what happened there. I mean, how many times have you guys seen Ulrich Loh drop a kickoff this season? And then it wasn't just a drop, it was a penalty because Kirtley played it and then they got a kick and they scored. So they'll learn. I'm going to tell you guys something. You mustn't, I'm going to sit here again and I'm going to tell you. You can't fast forward experience, and you can't fast forward age, and you can't fast forward buying time in those positions. And I'm fully convinced, as much as it's not nice and as much as it's not what we want, we will, and I can tell you now, we will be back.
Jay, commiserations on the result. You mentioned quite a few things. You mentioned international experience. You mentioned know-how, things that the Glasgow Warriors bench were able to bring onto the field. When you look at that, do you maybe then look at the decision you made on Marcel Coetzee not being on the bench? If you were to go back into your selection, would you perhaps take that risk on him and just have him there for those moments, like the last few moments?
Yeah, it's a very good question, because I actually thought to myself, the one guy who probably would have bumped people off in that game, because they tackled Cameron back, they tackled Ulrich back. The one guy probably would have bumped them, would have been him. But as I said to you during the week, if we got an injury in the first minute and he had to play 75 or 78 minutes, I wasn't sure that he was good enough to, from 10 weeks out. You know, I read an article this week about Leinster playing ringrose after being out for 10 weeks. And then I'd be sitting here going, you know what, guys, I'm sorry, I played a guy who wasn't fit. So, yeah, there's no exact science. The one exact science I will tell you is we will be there next year. That I can tell you.
Cool. Thank you, everybody.